Shalom, friends. Akiva Gersh here from Vegan Rabbi. I hope you're doing very well. In my conversations with people about veganism, about Judaism and veganism, I hear quite often from people, I get it, I hear you, you're right. Yes, I know, but I can never go vegan. Right? And I'm here to tell you that you can. Why? Why do I say that? Why do I believe that? Because if I went vegan, anybody can go vegan. What do I mean? When I grew up, I ate the worst of the worst. I barely ate any vegetables. I literally didn't eat vegetables. I think the only vegetable I ate was iceberg lettuce, and only if it had a lot of salad dressing on it. I didn't eat any vegetables served at dinner, at any function, at any meal. I literally ate like white bread, lots of meat, and lots of junk food. And I ate very, very unhealthy. And I didn't think much about the food that I put into my body and maybe what it was doing to me, and for sure not what it was doing to animals and the environment. And that all started to change for me in high school. I have a twin sister. We go very, very, very close. And she went vegetarian early on in high school. That was something like 1990, 91, way before it became easy, big, and a bit of a trend in our world. And she went vegetarian. A few years later, she actually went vegan, and she told me all the information, all the things that happened to the animals and the horrors of the industry and the environment. And the truth is, sad to say now, but back then in high school, the end of the 80s, early 90s, I didn't care. I just didn't care. My heart wasn't open. It didn't affect me. It didn't impact me. I didn't make any changes. It didn't speak to me. And then I graduated high school in 1993 and I went to college. And that first year in college, I had a major, major transformation, lots of epiphanies about the world, not even things I was learning in class, but just understanding the world in a different kind of way, meeting new people, having new conversations, reading new books. And my understanding of the world when I left my suburban bubble, right? The suburban bubble that I grew up in, I just saw the world and I understood the world in a very, very different way. And I was hyper aware, I was becoming uber aware of the way specifically in which humans were impacting the planet, right? Literally through almost every single thing we do by or a way of acting in the world, we're impacting the world in a negative way. And that was a huge realization I had my first year of college. It was a huge part of my transformation that year. And by the end of the year, I came to the realization, you know what? My sister is right. She's been right all this time, all along. Everything she said to me about the impact of our food on the environment, on animals, absolutely right. And by the end of that year, I declared my major in environmental studies and I became a vegetarian. Right? I thought vegan, too extreme, I can't do it. I'll go vegetarian. A year later, I went vegan in 1995 for the same reasons I went vegetarian. I realized what's happening in the dairy industry and the egg industry were just as horrible, if not worse, than what was happening in the meat industry. And in 1995, I went vegan. And of course, when I went vegetarian and then a year later vegan, I had to figure out what to eat and literally how to eat. I had to relearn how to eat. What foods? I remember I was part of a food co-op where different people would cook dinners every single night. And we would eat together, and it was all vegan. And I was eating foods I never tasted in my life, never saw on a plate in front of me, never saw on a table in front of me. Some foods I never even heard of. And I had to try and I had to test and I had to explore and I had to, open myself up to new kinds of tastes and new kinds of foods. And of course, once I did, I loved all these things. And I realized, oh my God, there's so many incredible foods in the world that are tasty and colorful and of course, nutritious and give us all that we need. Right, showing us that we don't need to eat animals in order to be healthy, in order to be strong, in order to be, feeling full at the end of a meal, in order to be nourished. And it was an incredible time in my life where I transitioned from a very, very poor and unhealthy diet that was focused mainly on eating animals to something that was diverse and vibrant and colorful and tasteful, and of course, nourishing and healthy. So looking back at my story and how I made that switch, shows me that if I could do it, you could do it. If I could do it, anybody could do it. And it really just takes, kind of taking that information that we hold in our head, in our brains about the horrors of the meat and dairy and egg industry and the fish industry and the negative impact that they're having, of course, on animals and globally on the environment as well, and bring that down into our heart, right? Open up that passageway, so to speak, to our heart and really feel it and ask ourselves the question, how do I want to eat? How do I want to live in this world? What kind of impact do I want to have? what kind of impact do I want to leave behind? Am I okay doing things, supporting certain industries that are just really bringing so much pain and suffering to so many animals and wreaking havoc on our environment? When we take the time and we pause and we ask ourselves that questions, I believe we'll come to the realization and to the answer that we do want to eat in a more compassionate way. We do want to eat in a way that's not only good and healthy for us, but good and healthy for the entire world, including all the creatures that call this world home, just like we do. So again, sharing this little story with you here today, just to show you that if I could go vegan, anybody can go vegan.